Have you ever wondered, does the work I do matter? At my age, 65, it's easy to look back on a life of service and ask myself, did I do anything that really was beneficial? Was my work helpful? Did I make a difference? I talked to a friend about a year ago who had also retired, and his question was, with a shake in his voice and a tear in his eye, was, I wonder if I did enough. Maybe you are 20 years old considering a career and wondering, what career will I be able to use or serve in that makes a large difference? Maybe you're at 40 and wondering, should I make a change? Maybe you're at retirement and wondering, what should I do with my second curve? This week on A Psalm for Today, we will be checking out Psalms related to work. Does what I do actually matter? Psalm 90, verse number 17 says, establish the work of our hands upon us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. We are considering in Psalm 90 the role of God's timing, the role of God's planning, the role of God's sovereignty in making our life meaningful. This is a psalm written by Moses. Many people know of the Psalms of David and some of the other authors of Psalms. This is a psalm of Moses. Now, in this psalm, we believe Moses is thinking about 40 years in the wilderness, 40 years of going round and round, and the people have still not entered the land of promise. Maybe you're there. Maybe you're working and you still have not entered the land of promise for your work. I'm going to read the whole psalm, only today's psalm for today, because it's several verses long. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Remember, he's writing this in light of a long 40-year journey of still not getting where they're going. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. Yet you sweep people away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. In the morning it springs up new, but by evening it is dry and withered. We are consumed by your anger and terrified by your indignation. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. All our days pass away under your wrath. We finish our years with a moan. Our days may come to 70 years or 80 if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are but trouble and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away. If only we knew the power of your anger. Your wrath is as great as the fear that is your due. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Relent, Lord, how long will it be? Have compassion on your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your unfailing love, that we may sing for joy and be glad all of our days. Make us glad for as many days as you have afflicted us, for as many years as we have seen trouble. May your deeds be shown to your servants, your splendor to their children. Verse 17 and the final verse. May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. So Moses is also asking that God would make his work, make those 40 years in the wilderness productive, make them worth something. He's watching a generation die without entering the promise. This is not a psalm of triumph. It is a psalm of faithful endurance under divine sovereignty. Some of you that are viewing right now are in huge pain. You've been in huge pain for a long time. And the best man can tell, there's no quick solution coming of where that pain will go away. Faithful endurance under divine sovereignty. I believe in healing. I believe in the Word of God. I believe that every promise in the book is mine. And I also believe that the Lord's Prayer teaches us to receive life as God allows it to come to us. We receive life as God allows it to come to us. The way God allows life to come to me, my main physical ailment is I have back pain from time to time. And I'm usually at a 3 out of 10 in my low back. And then every once in a while, it's a 10 out of 10. Had that a couple weeks ago. Was in the emergency room, 10 out of 10. That's how God allowed life to come to me. A guy named Gregory of Nyssa, he wrote a book called The Life of Moses. And he says that Moses is an archetype of always moving forward, even when outcomes are withheld. The Greek word that Gregory used, epictasis, is straining toward what lies ahead. Establish the work of our hands is like, God, I am going to continue going regardless of the outcomes. I think of a family that I knew serving in an island in Alaska. If I'm not mistaken, it was well over 20 years they served on this island. Every Sunday, preaching, teaching, etc. And if I'm not mistaken, in 25 years, there were less than 3 people, maybe less than 5, let's say, so it's not an exaggeration, who came to Christ. And my mom and dad would always say, son, see that couple? They are demonstrating faithfulness to the call of God, even though they're not seeing the results they hope for. Faithful endurance under divine sovereignty, even when outcomes are withheld. When we're sick, the doctor says, hey, your blood count's up. You're like, yeah. Then he says, oh, your blood count's down. Oh, the outcomes change in and out, positive, negative, negative, positive, all kinds of combos. But when the outcomes are withheld, even though we want healing, that outcome is withheld, let's say. Or we want an end of the pain, that outcome is withheld. Or you're tired of walking around in the desert and you want to get into the promised land, but that outcome is withheld. This is what Moses is facing in this particular psalm. He says, life is brief. It's like the morning grass. It flourishes and then it fades by evening. God, by contrast, is from everlasting to everlasting. You see that in the text we read. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art God, but man is like grass. So Moses doesn't solve this in Psalm 90. He just holds it. He sits with it, they like to say now. He hangs out. By the way, there's a beautiful hummingbird over there. He hangs out and says, I'm going to deal with the fact that God is eternal and I'm not. And I am going to get used to the fact that I'm not going to live forever. I'm going to get used to the fact that I may not get the outcomes that I want. Now, this neuroscience component has a name that I don't like, but it's the name of the theory, right? It's called the terror management theory by Pazinski et al. What their research shows is that awareness of death, when we integrate it rather than suppress it, when we go, you know what, death is approaching, when we integrate it into our life, it increases pro-social behavior. And I noticed this as a pastor. We'd be helping somebody pass away in the close, meaningful relationships on their last mile. I love the song, When I've Gone the Last Mile of the Way. I love that. Somebody would walk in and say, there's no faith in this room. Out, out, out. Anybody with doubt and unbelief. The person's, about to have a wonderful homegoing, and this person interrupts the beauty of passing with this kind of fake faith talk. So this terror management theory by Pazinski et al., it shows that when death is approaching and we integrate that into our life, it increases pro-social behavior and deepens the sense of meaning. So brevity is not the enemy of significance. Brevity is not the enemy of significance. It's the condition for significance. Because my life is short and limited, establish the work of our hands. To establish, to make firm, to set in place. Notice he's not saying make me famous. He's not saying make me successful. He's not saying make me rich. He's simply asking that his 40 years in the wilderness would be received by God and woven into something that endures beyond him. Lord, take the work of my hands, establish it, and weave it into something that outlives me. Weave it into something that is significant in the everlasting sense. This is a theology of vocation, not of achievement. The worker entrusts the meaning of the work to God, not to outcomes. This is so hard for me. I'm trying to learn it and get better at it. I want to see results from whatever it is. I want to see my grass grow. I want to see my money grow. I want to see my health grow. I want to see results. Psalm 90 says, no, that's fine, but walk faithfully with God, even if you don't see the outcomes for which you are working, and saying, God, would you receive the work of my hands? And I've had the privilege of serving at Muldoon Community Assembly for 40 years. I've been gone over 3 years now. I had that privilege of serving there. In essence, and in reality, I was serving God. Yes, it was Muldoon Community Assembly. Yes, there's hundreds and hundreds of people there I love. And I can't wait until they have a global senior pastor in place and I'm able to hang out with everybody again. That would be fantastic. But, Lord, I'm asking you to take that work, whatever I did, my frail, feeble work, and I'm asking that I would walk faithfully with you, that it was not achievement, but it was what God did with the work, that God gives the work meaning, not to outcomes. Augustine agrees with this in the Confessions. He says it's our restlessness that drives us forward to God, who alone can give our striving its rest. So, how shall we deal with this at work? We're talking about Psalms for work. Does my work have meaning? Begin work with a brief prayer of offering. Not, help me succeed, but Lord, receive this. Number 2, release the outcome. Do the work faithfully without demanding that it be remembered. Nobody needs to remember it. You don't need to remember it. We release the outcome. Number 3, look for the small, unremarkable moments of faithfulness. Moses' 40 years in the wilderness were mostly unglamorous. Interestingly, Milkenseiner and Shaver, their research shows that securely attached workers show greater intrinsic motivation, meaning motivation that comes from inside, and resilience to failure. Resilience to failure. Not because they care less, but because their identity is not contingent upon outcomes. So, Lord, for my friends watching with me today in this live stream, I thank you that our life is brief, and I thank you that you give it meaning, not the outcomes. And so we entrust our lives into your keeping for the results that you want, for the kind of life that you desire for us to live. We serve faithfully under